Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over Apex's defense. I had a chance to preview this. It's some pretty good stuff. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, the placement, their power levels, their ISOs, what kind of mood I'm in, and I am super chipper today, let me tell you. Having a great day. Starting to get my voice back a little bit. Feeling pretty good. Thank you for all your well wishes, by the way. I appreciate when people look out for me. And you guys, the Marvel Strike Force community is such a wonderful community. You guys are always so nice to me, and I absolutely don't deserve it. Team number 1. This is the kind of Sinister Six team I like to see. This is the filler garbage you throw in here. It's kind of trolly. They got to come in with something of moderately size team to counter it. You know, you got to think about it. They're throwing out negative effects, so how do I deal with that? Yet you're not wasting anything by putting this in here. You've got your Doc Ock built up, probably doing something else on a hybrid defense or a good offense or something like that. If you're a fan of the Sinister Six and you want to build this team, just use them on offense. They do lots of amazing things. In fact, we're going to be having an offensive teams list come out this month. I'm trying to do that monthly. And I talk about them along with every other offense team I can possibly think of. But for a defense, this is fantastic. You're not really wasting anything, and it doesn't matter what ISOs you put in here. It's just a number and a synergized team that makes people come in with something synergized of equal, maybe lesser, but mostly equal value to deal with. Striker on Mysterio, I like that. Skirmisher on Vulture, I think that's the secondary pick. I like Raider better, but he is fast and he can lay a vulnerable out there. And you do want vulnerables out there for a Mysterio because he calls assists, and so you can get the Skirmisher to land another vulnerable, get a triple hit combo. That's good. Striker on Green Goblin, I think that's like the tertiary pick. Is that right? First, second, tertiary? That doesn't sound right. Whatever. It's the third best pick. I'm smart. I use big words. I like Raider as a secondary pick, and I like Skirmisher as the primary pick. Oh, that's it. Primary, secondary, tertiary. There we go. I'm learning things. And then we got Raider on Shocker. That's fine. Striker works, Skirmisher works. Like Striker, Skirmisher, Raider for all of these guys are pretty much equal value picks. I don't like Fortifier on Rhino. I think he should be a Raider. Don't use Healer. He's too slow. He usually takes 1, maybe 2 turns in a match before he dies. Also, the one best thing that Apex could do for this team is take Rhino off of defense, put him in your back pocket, use him as that flex pick when you come across Brotherhood teams or teams that throw out lots of negative effects like New Warriors. If he survives the hit from Cloak, he might get blind on him, and then he'll cleanse, and then his first turn you can cleanse again if that wasn't good enough. But it works even better for Magneto because Magneto clumps the team together, and so his cleanse is adjacent, and it gets everybody on that one. But yeah, I think you should reserve him as a flex pick and throw in anybody else from the Sinister Six. You're doing good here, though. I'm going to give you a B+ for this. Team number 2 is a hero brawler team. This is nice. I like this, except for your ISOs. I don't like your ISOs. Okay, so Daredevil is a Raider, like on his team, right? He's a Raider. And so you got him war ready as a Raider, and it's hard for me to say change that investment. But on the hero brawler team, it's all about Striker Skirmisher combos. And he's pretty big. You're gonna get some damage with him. So I don't know, you know, maybe make him like a level 1 striker, see how that goes, and if it seems to be working better, then decide if you want to make the investment to make him war ready as a striker. Kind of hard to do that. Also, if you don't have the WepX team, I highly recommend that you put in Wolverine as a striker here. He gets speed up on his counter assist. So changing him to a striker and putting him in here in this place is kind of a good thing to do. And then you could use Daredevil on the Shadowlands team. Now, Shadowlands is kind of a luxury team at this point. They're reaching that period where their usefulness is starting to run out. They held their stance better than most, but they're not doing so great, and they kind of are an expensive team to invest in. So really, buyer beware on that one if you want to build that Shadowlands team. I do enjoy my Shadowlands team a lot because I hated that Emmarauders team so much, and we still come across a lot of variations on the Emmarauder build. JJ's trash, so you got her in here. Great. Spider-Man, hey, congratulations. You're going to get a lot of use with him in the new Web Warriors that is confirmed. So that's good. That might be, if you're not going to build Shadowlands, you might replace Spider-Man with a Striker Wolverine if you don't have Omega Red. We'll see how that goes. And then you have Squirrel Girl as a healer. That's fine. I do like running her as a striker, but she has one of her moves that doesn't actually do an attack, so you don't get the value out of it, and she does do some pretty decent healing. You got high red stars on her. Might be worth it to take her up to 13 or 14. She is a flex pick for some hybrid builds. It wouldn't be a total waste, but it's a back burner operation right there. And then, of course, Ms. Marvel. The only thing you need with Ms. Marvel, she needs to be a skirmisher. Probably make her war ready. And then make sure that you have the T4 in her passive so that she is counter assisting on every striker attack. Really makes this team pop off. However, that being said, this is a low value defensive team. The only value it really has is that if you already have Miss Marvel built up with that T4 in her passive, you can throw in your hero brawlers to a pretty decent effect. It's just a repository for your leftover stuff. They're taking miles off of this team with the Web Warriors. So really all you've got left is kind of what you see here minus Spider-Man. And honestly, I like Daredevil for the Shadowlands team better anyways. However, you haven't over invested in anything here. I can't fault you for having the wrong ISO on him because on his primary team, he is a Raider. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm actually going to give you, an A- for this team because there's some tweaks you can do to improve it. But you haven't done anything wrong. And it's all about saving resources in this day and age. Team number 3. Okay, we got a wave 1 with Coulson in here. I do like Coulson as a replacement for Black Widow. He has good synergy with every member of this team aside from Hulk. He gives them some major health boosts and things like that, so it's really good. You have 1 striker and 2 people putting out vulnerables. So you could switch Thor to a Raider and make Coulson a striker. Don't do that, but you could. Don't do that because you've already invested too much in this team, and this team's over the hill for its second time around. But you could make Thor a Raider and Coulson a striker. He's got turn meter rewind on his basic, and Thor does a lot of AoE chain attacks, and you could get enough vulnerables out there that Coulson is popping off with that basic assist and rewinding turn meter, making this team a little bit more challenging. A lot of people come into this with control teams, and if you screw up their timing, it can really cause problems. It really is effective. So that's the proper build. However, Coulson is valuable as a Raider on other hybrids, so it's not a waste that you have him as a Raider. You should just consider that if that's something that you want to do before you make him war ready. If you're happy with this, make him war ready, call it a team. You could probably put a little bit more investment into their gear and power levels, stuff like that. Although, like I said, it's a bit of a waste. This team is kind of old. I think what you're doing is just fine. I think the best thing you can do is just leave this team alone. Swap places with Thor and Coulson. You don't want Coulson dying with chain attacks coming off of there. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to give you a B+ for this team. I think there's a lot of tweaks you could do. It's just kind of expensive for a team this old. Team number 4. Mercs team. You guys know I love the Mercs. I really do, even though they're getting the crap kicked out of them in war these days. There's not much that they hold up to anymore. It's unfortunate. 480 on the power level. You're approaching that point where you want to think about Ultimus coming in here because Skilletary is going to be the primary choice to defeat this team. You have Skirmisher and 1 striker. Now, Killmonger is a Raider natively. However, on this build, he should be a striker, getting the striker-skirmisher combo off of Taskmaster. And then Merc Riot Guard should be a striker also. I know he's attacking less than every other turn, but the value that you get out of your Taskmaster. Now, your Taskmaster isn't built up all that much. So again, this is one of those points where you got to look at the team. Is it worth your investment to upgrade, switch, adjust? I gotta say no. It's not that fantastic. Shuri's absolutely correct. Let's see. You do have Lieutenant as a striker, and he should be a striker 100% when you have Shuri on the team. It's a little bit more questionable when you use Ultimus because you don't have any healers. Although this is kind of like a one-off team. Like if somebody comes into it and they lose to it, then they come back knowing exactly what they did wrong and they're going to beat it the second time. So I don't think healers is really the way to go on that. Why did my music stop? Nope, never mind. There it goes. Okay, so, you know, I like making those Mercs strikers, but that's really a debate for you. Here's the thing. Definitely get some gear, get some power levels on that Merc Lieutenant and your Taskmaster. Bring them up a little bit. That's really going to help. I think that's kind of important enough that it should be done. I don't know where you're at on the payday event, but if you need some help there, these, you know, bring these guys up and take them into that payday event and go get your gold. Yeah. The thing is like X-Force, other teams are going to come in and knock that guy under 50%. He's going to get blown up pretty easy. He is kind of a linchpin, getting that adjacent healing going and stuff like that. So power up that Lieutenant, get your Taskmaster powered up, let him do some damage, and then just go hunt down the stars on those guys too. As a, you know, everything here is a back burner project here on defense up, because we don't like to waste anything. I'm going to give you a B for this team. It's not horrible, but you do have to do some tweaking on that. Team number 5, here's where your Doc Ock is on a nice Emmarauder hybrid. I do like this hybrid. I think you should change your placement. I think your deflex from Doc Ock should be going on to Strife and Sinister, not Emma, because she heals a lot and she doesn't need those deflects. And the times when you're going in with like an ability block or a disrupt or something for Emma, you're using tunes that they're gonna stick whether she's got a deflect or not. So put the deflect on Sinister, let him spread it over to Emma, let him do your work for you. Mystique is not a fantastic tune for this team anymore. She's pretty old. Old and busted even. She just doesn't do what you need her to do. No damage, nothing like that. She just steals those positive effects and gives them to Sinister. And honestly, if you want that to happen, you got to have her like a level 5 skirmisher, because Striker, what's the point? You don't have anybody putting vulnerables on the field with this team anyways. So Striker, extra damage. She doesn't have that good of damage to begin with. Don't multiply it. Make her a skirmisher, level 5 skirmisher. Strife should be a fortifier, 100%. I believe he should be a fortifier. He has fortifier built into his kit, that barrier mechanic, and he does it to good effect. So maximize that out. Make sure he's topped off on barrier every single time. Also, your Strife, I always recommend it should be somewhere between Sinister and Emma as far as your power level is concerned. You know, if you could bring him up to 130, 135, it's going to make this team last a lot longer. He's the linchpin of this team. If you can't get through Strife, you can't take this team down. It gets very complex. Other than, you know, bringing in an X-Factor team that's getting those AoEs and hitting everybody and stuff like that, which is probably what's going to happen with this team. Yeah, so... healer, lots of heals going off. It's unfortunate though, because like Strife's gonna die before he gets a chance to take a turn and pop those rejuves. Same thing with Mystique, so she's not gonna be stealing many positive effects. I think you should probably consider an alternate to replace Mystique, bring up the power levels on Strife, change it to a fortifier, and if you're gonna keep Mystique, make sure she is a skirmisher. You don't have many damage dealers on this team, so if you're gonna replace Mystique, replace her with somebody who's gonna hit. For me, this team's kind of a C. I think your Strife being so weak makes this team kind of fall apart. You may even consider, if you don't want to invest in Strife, break the whole team up. Break the whole team up, run Emma on offense, use Sinister on a hybrid defense or on an offense. Same thing with Doc Ock, you can use him on offense to great effect. Team number 6, Eternals with Inhumans. Hey, that's cool, haven't seen this one. Okay, let's see how this works. The match is gonna load in, and if your opponent wasn't paying attention, Icarus kills them. That's pretty much how that match plays out. Otherwise, they're gonna come in with a different team, probably consisting of Eternals of their own, with like an Emma or a Loki, and they're gonna go first, and they're gonna beat this team. So, it's really either way. What you could maybe do, maybe put the Eternals on a different team, like something like, I don't know, the Hand, like it doesn't matter, right? Or, you know, take the Eternals and Loki, hey, maybe that Emma that you were using on that last team, you put them in there, then it's a speed team. They got to come in with something, you know, their Eternals plus something faster. Otherwise, we're waiting for some of the hybrids to come out to beat Eternals in War. We're still looking into this. I'm looking into it like every day. I'm filtering through the other content creators. I'm trying to brainstorm on stream for ways to beat the Eternals in War without using an Eternals to come back at them. But honestly, the team that's going to beat this, you're going to see, is going to be Eternals plus somebody that gives them a little more turn meter, like a Cable, a Loki, or an Emma. And then their Icarus is just going to blow up this team. Meanwhile, you could be doing something like putting Silver Surfer or Deathpool or Coulson or something, one of those traditional hybrid Inhuman teams, or just running a traditional Inhuman team with Quake and Karnak. I mean, they suck, so don't do that, but you know what I mean. I think you should break this team up and make it into 2 teams. I think that the Inhumans can be used excuse me. The Inhumans can be used for better defenses or decent defenses, and then use the Eternals for a separate defense, and you can spread out your roster a little bit better. Using one of those speed members to force them, limit their options, you know, limit their options of what they're gonna do. I see Eternals Yo-Yo Black Bolt Coulson is something that they like. Eternals Yo-Yo Black Bolt Coulson? Maybe. Yeah, I think separate the 2 teams is probably your best bet. However, this is a formidable defense. These guys are super new. People who don't have Icarus or are not at the top of their arena and practicing these matchups every time won't understand what they're doing, and you're going to get defensive victories for the time being. But pretty soon, you should probably be paying attention to what's going on in the arena and see how people are countering the Eternals there and what you might want to do with this team. So for right now, it's just a B team. Team number 7 is Symbiotes. I like Symbiotes better on offense, but they are approaching the time when you should be moving them to defense. However, with the Web Warriors coming out, when Web Warriors hit and people have them built, you're going to be seeing Web Warriors on War defense because they're dodgy, and that's frustrating, and people like to troll other people. That's just how the internet works. So you probably want to consider putting this team on offense. 856, that's a monster team, right? I don't know what kind of war bonuses you got going on this picture, but that's a monster team, man. Use them on offense. They kill so many things, and the Symbiotes can be beat fairly easily. There's some reliable counters in defense, like Symbiote's mirror match. Like, I can punch up 100k on a mirror match. All you got to do is focus down Anti-Venom or Scream or whatever the smallest member is and knock them into the red, giving your team the turn meter first, and then you control the match, and it's just a downhill slalom from there. So I think you should be using these guys on offense. However, Strikers, Skirmisher, Raiders, Striker. You have 3 strikers, 2 people placing vulnerables. You might consider putting, well, no, don't change the ISO. You're in 2.2 ISOs, so don't change the ISOs. You're good enough there. But if you're building this team from scratch, you just want to make sure that you've got more people putting out vulnerables, or at least the same amount of people putting out vulnerables as you do having them soaked up. I like my Symbiote Spider-Man as a skirmisher these days. I like to make sure those negative effects stick. I like my Scream as a... I think I run her as a skirmisher also, and then I run Carnage as a skirmisher, I believe, also. I think. I can't remember. With Symbiotes, man, you can just get somebody in the red and almost hit auto. It's kind of that easy. Yeah, so this is fine though. These ISOs aren't bad at all. I wouldn't want you to change them. Go hunt down those stars. It is unfortunate that when we finally get the opportunity to max these teams out, they bring in its replacement. That's how it goes though. I'm going to give you a B for this team. I do think you should move them on offense, and I do think that there are slightly better builds with your ISOs, but do not change these. You have invested too much to bother changing them now. Team number 8 is the Heroes for Hire. Fortifier, Skirmisher, Striker, Skirmisher, Striker. Oh, we almost had it. We lost it there at the end. Bruce Lee down there, he needs to be a Raider. Striker's probably a secondary pick because, you know, he's got big stats. You know, he's doing some damage. I do like him better as a Raider, though. Yeah. Let's get the gear on these guys. They're usable elsewhere. I think you should take them to 14. However, 400 on your overall power is fine, right? That requires an Infinity Watch. That requires Omega Red to beat this team. So you're probably there. I don't think making any changes to this team is really going to improve it much unless you want to, like, force them to bring in a bigger and bigger standardized counter, right? If you want them to bring any bigger Infinity Watch, go ahead and bring it up. That's your choice. I think you're there. I do think Shang-Chi should be a Raider. I think that's going to be better. There's even a case to be made for healer when you're using him for other things. I don't think you are using him for other things, though, so that's probably not going to affect. But yeah, I like everything else. I like the placement. I like the other ISOs. The power levels are good enough. You probably invested in your defenders, and that's why those guys are so big. Otherwise, I would say don't bring up Iron Fist. Don't bring up Luke Cage to that degree. But, since they're there, you might want to bring up the other guys. I don't know. It's pretty good. I'm going to give you an A- for that. It's just, honestly, it's just that one ISO that bothers me. Team number 9, here's WepX-ish. Why in the world are you not running the full WepX team? Instead, you've got 2/5 of it here. I've never seen this before. Okay, so this is actually a pretty frustrating hybrid. I think Blob is better than Toad. If you're going to run one or the other, I think Blob is better than Toad. I do like Blob and Toad because you get the taunt early on. But something like this, yeah, I think you should go Blob instead of Toad. Juggernaut and Magneto. Magneto's a skirmisher. You might want to take Magneto up to level 5 skirmisher if you don't want to put the T4s in it. It's a different way to make his blind stick, make his negative effects strip and apply and all that stuff. So yeah, go ahead and put the extra point there in Magneto. Striker on Omega Red, go ahead and build him up. He is fantastic. The hype is for real. Sabretooth, awesome. Raider, that's great. Toad is a skirmisher, that works, but it works better if he's level 5 skirmisher. Again, go with the Blob as a skirmisher. I think that's better. You're going to get more vulnerables on the field because he counterattacks every time he's hit. And he taunts whenever Brotherhood members go under 50% or so. He taunts for a reason. I think it's mutants. Yeah, mutants make him taunt. Whatever. Put Blob in there. That's a better way. Yeah, this is actually a pretty cool team. I like this. Yeah, because Omega Red's going to screw up your usual counters for the Brotherhood. So this is actually pretty cool. I don't know what you're doing with Lady Deathstrike. I don't know what you're doing with Wolverine. I don't know what you're doing with Silver Samurai. But if you get them built up to equal Omega Red, then put them on offense and start crushing this hero for higher teams. It's a lot of fun. And that's where I like to see them being used. But I don't know. I want to see how this plays. I want to fight this team, really. That's what I want to do. I want to fight this team and see how it plays out. It's very interesting, and I like that. I like interesting things that I haven't seen before. So I'm going to give you an A- for this team because there's some tweaks that you can make to improve it for sure. And I don't know if it's better than a WepX team on defense, but it is something that we don't see. And things that you don't often see can often net you those DVs and work out really well. Team number 10. Here we have the New Warriors with Loki and Heimdall. Okay, so Heimdall's trash, right? We all can agree on that. I don't understand the synergy there other than you have somebody else putting out some vulnerables. You got 2 skirmishers, 2 strikers. You're good there, so you could go anywhere with this 5th person. And you could put in Silver Surfer for the extra damage. You could put in, I don't know, Kestrel if you want to break up your Secret Avenger teams. You could put in, you could put in Hela if you really wanted to. I just don't understand why Heimdall. He's not doing much. You know, he's old and busted, and it's just not. I don't get that. But you're not wasting. You built up Heimdall back in the day. This is where you ended, and this is what he is. So you're just using him. And honestly, the rest of the team's carrying him. I don't see him doing anything, adding anything, or even taking away from this team other than you could put in a 5th that would be more effective. As for the rest of your team, I would like to see you put the last point on Loki, get him that 1.5 so that his defense down sticks on that opening move. Wow, 7 red stars. I think his defense down is going to stick anyway, right? That's pretty cool. You don't need to invest highly in Loki. For teams like this, for teams like the Eternals, you just need him to spawn in. He gives that speed to the Mystic characters. He makes Cloak go before Deathpool on this team, and then Deathpool can re-spread those negative effects. So if somebody didn't get blinded by Cloak, you can like pick and choose and spread that blind back over. It's really fun to do. It's better on an offense because you can control how that plays out. But this is a killer defense. It's going to net you DVs because they are such a new team. They do move fast. They are effective. Honestly, I think the best thing you could do is replace Heimdall with somebody like a Drax or something so that at least somebody can't come in and control this team, right? Put Drax on the outside and your toughest toon, probably going to be Deathpool, next to Drax, so that they have to hit Drax first instead of controlling this team. Yeah, it's because if you're worried about blinds, Heimdall isn't protecting blinds, right? He's only protecting Asgardians from blind. A better person to protect from blinds would be Rhino, and he's only going to clear adjacent people. And you know, your adjacent people are going to be adjacent to Dagger, and you don't want them adjacent to Rhino because Dagger is going to give them the offense up. So it's a whole thing. Yeah, best thing you can do is get Heimdall out of here. Put like a pre-taunting tank or something, a Red Guardian or somebody in here that's gonna at least kind of screw it up if they're gonna go into this team. The other thing you can do is put them on offense. I think that's your best choice. I think it's a powerful team. You can be helping out your alliance, getting some really big punch-ups with this team. They do some amazing stuff. And you don't even need Loki on this team when you're running them on offense. Although I do, I run mine with Loki. I like it too. But they're a great team. So. Yeah, I'm going to go B- on this. It's a powerful defense. You're not screwing up any of the ISOs. You're not wasting anything except for that 5th slot. I think get rid of Heimdall. He's not doing you any favors there. Okay, this is Apex's defense up video. If you enjoyed it, please like below. That actually does help me out on that algorithm. I'm trying to grow the channel. I want to try and make some money here at YouTube. You know, that money. And that's not going to happen if I don't get subscribers. So please subscribe, help me out, boost that number up. I got to get to 2,000 eventually. Man, the rate I'm going, I'm probably going to retire as a content creator before I hit 2,000. Okay, yeah, remember guys, don't just have a good game. Be good to yourselves and others too. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.